110.26. F1 addresses working space about electrical equipment, focusing on the general requirements for that space. The specific portion of the code you are asking about states that working space shall not be less than that specified by this section. Distance along the front of working space shall be measured from the nearest live part except as otherwise specified in this section. In the situation you described, a wall ledge below the equipment mounting board does not violate 110.26. F1. The reason is that the ledge is not considered working space as the NEC defines it. To understand this, it's important to know the NEC definition of working space. Working space is that space around electrical equipment within which examination, adjustment, servicing, maintenance, or repairs may be safely performed without exposing personnel to contact with live parts. Consider the function of the ledge itself. In your scenario, the equipment mounting board is located above the ledge. Personnel would not typically need to step onto the ledge to access or work on the electrical equipment mounted above. The critical factor is whether the ledge obstructs the required working space in front of the electrical equipment. Since the equipment is mounted above the ledge and is accessible without needing to utilize the ledge for examination, adjustment, servicing, maintenance, or repairs, the ledge does not encroach upon the required working space. It's also important to consider other aspects of 110.26, not just 110.26. F1. These include the depth of the working space, the width of the working space, and the height of the working space. The depth of the working space, as described in 110.26. A depends on the voltage to ground of the electrical equipment and the condition of the space opposite the equipment. For example, if the voltage to ground is 150 volts or less, and there is an exposed live part on one side and grounded parts on the other side, the minimum clear distance is 3 feet. This distance increases as the voltage increases and as the conditions change, such as having an insulated surface opposite the live parts. The width of the working space, as described in 110.26. V states that the width of the working space in front of the electrical equipment shall be the width of the equipment or 30 inches, whichever is greater. The working space must also allow at least a 90-degree opening of equipment doors or hinged panels. The height of the working space, as described in 110.26. C specifies that the working space shall be clear and extend from the grade, floor, or platform to the height specified in 110.26. E. The space shall be clear of obstructions. The minimum height of the working space is 6.5 feet, or the height of the equipment, whichever is greater. Now consider specific scenarios and how the NEC applies. Firstly, if the ledge was directly in front of the equipment, obstructing access and making it difficult to perform maintenance, then it would likely be considered a violation. Secondly, if the equipment required access from below, and the ledge prevented this access, it would also be a violation. Thirdly, if the ledge was used as a platform for personnel to stand on while working on the equipment, it would need to meet specific requirements for platforms and working surfaces. Code 110.26. E discusses the access and entrance to working space. At least one entrance of sufficient area shall be provided to give access to the working space about electrical equipment. For equipment rated 1200 amps or more and containing overcurrent devices, there shall be one entrance not less than 24 inches wide and 6.5 feet high at each end of the working space. Where the location permits a continuous and unobstructed way of exit travel, only one means of egress shall be required. The door or doors opening into this space shall be required to swing open in the direction of egress and be equipped with panic hardware. Therefore, if the equipment and the mounting board is rated 1200 amps or more and contains overcurrent devices, there must be proper access and egress from the working space. The presence of the ledge should not impede these access and egress requirements. Finally, the presence of the ledge might introduce new considerations for safety. If the ledge creates a tripping hazard or obstructs emergency egress, it could raise concerns that are separate from the strict interpretation of 110.26. F1 but still relevant to overall safety. Consider whether the presence of the ledge encourages unsafe practices, such as using it as a makeshift ladder or storage space. In summary, the wall ledge in the described situation does not inherently violate 110.26 F1, provided it does not obstruct the required working space or create unsafe working conditions. The electrical equipment on the mounting board should be safely accessible and maintainable without needing to utilize the ledge. Keep in mind that other sections of 110.26, such as those related to depth, width, height, and access, must also be considered to ensure overall compliance with the NEC. Always consult with a qualified electrical inspector or engineer to ensure full compliance with all applicable codes and standards. The interpretation of the NEC depends on the specific details of the installation and the judgment of the local authority having jurisdiction.